The tiny house idea came over time. Building this was a dream, and I did design this whole house. I've lived in Manhattan in smaller environments and apartments than this, so I'm okay. Finding this online was an amazing find. I did have to sell an ovary for it, just kidding, but it was about 3,000 American dollars. As a girl, I just need to have a big soaking tub, and I was not gonna tolerate any stand-up showers, and especially those little box showers, like, no thank you. One, do, 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 do. Try not to fall.
Will you join me? Will you roll? Make this house our tiny home.
Hi, I'm Janine, and this is Big Tiny. I'm originally from Staten Island, New York. For about 13 years, I lived and worked Wall Street. My father had property up in the Catskills, so I would always get to escape up into the woods and hug some trees and burn some incense and do all that nature, tree hugging stuff that really helped my soul. It instilled in me a lifelong dream to live in the woods, live in nature. I really strived for that kind of lifestyle. And the hustle bustle of corporate America, like that just, it never fit me. My Wall Street days, I had a 3,300 square foot house. Who was gonna clean that? I could barely clean this. And I remember being so miserable and hearing many times how people had money and had the biggest things, but they're always lonely and miserable. And it's true, it was so true. And I remember saying, I'd rather live in a little shack and in love and happiness than be in this giant mansion and be lonely and miserable. So it all fell into place. I soon shifted gears and became a massage therapist. Massage school led me out here, and then that led me into meeting people, living in community and living in like this type of lifestyle, and here we are. The tiny house idea came over time. I was just getting boxed out with the rent and finding roommates that are normal, and I was just done. Building this was a dream. After all the tiny house videos and all the research, I built this Big Tiny. I originally just started gathering ideas, and my friend introduced me to the general contractor, and I kind of gave him my rundown of what I'm looking to do and conjured up my own creation. And I did design this whole house. From the roof line to the little octagon windows, pretty much came up with all of that. This is Big Tiny. It's 8.5 feet wide by 30 feet long and 13.5 feet tall. Now, finding a place to park this was difficult. I did check some mobile parks, the RV parks, and they were like, we don't take your kind. So I'm like, okay. They turned me on to Hip Camp. It's an Airbnb type of a website for campers. I found my landlord here on Hip Camp, and I called him, contacted him, and I said, hey, how would you like to have a steady base of income? I can help clean up your Hip Camp or Airbnb for you in compensation for rent. And he totally agreed, and here I am. He left 3 acres of land tucked away in the low-fall neighborhood of Poulsbo. So the property comes with an outhouse with a functioning toilet. It comes with a laundry room and water, well water, and electric. And I pay only $600 a month. So when I got here, the house, we only had just makeshift steps, just in and out. And the first winter here was just a sopping mess. I was dating someone that actually built me a porch. I actually asked him to make it portable because eventually I knew I was going to be moving, and he put it all together so it can be taken apart and brought over to the new location. It was originally screwed in, but it's kind of all undone because I'm moving. And soon after this, I will be packing up everything and moving to my new location. So some of the boards might be a little wobbly, but yeah, it was all wood that was here on the property for free. And it's solid, good wood. And my landlord was like, do whatever you want with it. So I'm like, thank you. The mural is an idea I came up with because I just kind of wanted to make it pop a little bit. I found this on Etsy and stenciled it onto my house and prettied it up. So I knew living here, I always wanted to try to conserve as much water as possible. These rain barrels were 50 bucks at Wilco Farm Store. So I banked on it and set up some gutters and made sure I'm collecting. So I had extra water to water my gardens with. So this is my motorcycle, 2017 Honda Rebel 500. Affordable on gas, affordable on parking. I usually just on nice days, I commute by motorcycle and skip it all behind. Since this trailer is custom made from Iron Eagle trailers down in Portland, Oregon, they already have like a little semi-triangle bump out so you could build out onto it. So I asked my GC to build a little 2-foot setup here so I can put my propane tanks in. And that works really great, and I keep track of how much I've used and when I've started it and when I've ended it. So the propane I use for cooking and to actually just heat my water. That's all I really use it for. And then once this runs out, I have a whole nother like month and a half. So give or take 2.5, 3 months. So this is my little Snow White section. The little 8-year-old in me just is really big in animals and nature, and I'm very grateful for pulling a U-turn and escaping the city limits of the concrete jungle of New York. I wanted a big window. I didn't want to do a porch door yet because I didn't know where I was going to be living, didn't know what to do. So I kept this big enough that if I wanted to put in sliding doors, I could. But I call this my deli window. So, you know, you can come right on up and say, yeah, can I have a sliced pizza, bagel, coffee, please? You know, it's really easy to put your order in. Back here though, I actually originally was going to put an exhaust fan for my stove, but the exhaust fan actually took up so much wall space and so much time. Like I was like, no, take it out. And so now it's just sitting there with a couple of spiders in it. I might put some little tree around it or something to get some birds in there. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. So that's just an ornament to my house. So back here is my outdoor shower. Unfortunately, this got busted in the winter of 2023, and apparently there was water in here, so it cracked, and so I don't have an outdoor shower. But it will get repaired when I get to the new location. And I am putting a nice big tub back here too, so I can sit and soak and be under the stars. Well, now that you've seen the outside of my big tiny, why don't we go on inside?
Hey guys, we're taking a brief break from Janine's tiny home tour to show you the new Jackery SG3000 Home Power, which is the sponsor of this week's video. So Janine, do you ever lose power out here?
Yes, I do.
And what do you normally do when you lose power?
Just light a candle.
Right, so that's not great. That's why we brought along this unit to try out and see if it could power Janine's tiny house during a power outage. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug in Janine's tiny house and see how long it will last. All right, so here we are. We're gonna plug in Janine's tiny house. And it looks like Janine's tiny house is pulling between 200 and 300 watts without any solar coming in because it's a really cloudy day today. Wah, wah. This unit could power Janine's tiny house for up to 21 hours, which means that's plenty of time for the power company to turn back on your lights, I would think.
Definitely.
Usually, yeah.
Good turnaround time.
If we were able to get solar right now, if it wasn't such a cloudy day, then this unit could last even longer, potentially up to 48 hours, powering the essentials such as lights, fridge, powering your cell phone or computer. So the Jackery SG3000 Home Power is whisper quiet, it has 0 emissions, and it's eco-friendly. You hardly even notice it's running. It's easy to use. All you do is have to plug it in. And because you can potentially recharge the unit 100% from the sun, you're getting essentially free electricity. So it is nice to have a backup power system, especially one that's eco-friendly and super quiet. If you are interested in any more information on this unit, make sure you check out the links in our description. But right now, let's get back to Janine's tour.
Welcome inside to Big Tiny. This is a concept of mine that I actually was living in a house, and the kitchen setup was literally just all of this, and there was a bathroom and a washroom. So I used that house as my palette, as my sketching, as my ideas came to unfold. The kitchen I measured was 8.5, 8 feet wide, so I knew I had something to work with when it came to living in a tiny home with an 8.5-foot trailer. A friend of mine told me about the 3-burner stove that's usually found in RVs and boats, and I found that off of eBay, and it's really fun, but you cannot cook a turkey in there. You can bake some apple pies or something like that, but it still works. So I wound up finding the cabinets off of Habitat for Humanity. The countertop did come from Home Depot. The sink came from IKEA, but everything else, like all of the wainscoting, all the walls came off of Craigslist. It was a family that was tearing down their den. And I don't know how I guesstimated, but the entire place is from this guy's den. Those walls actually covered all of this, and my GC was like, you're not gonna have enough. And sure enough, he was right. Only a little panel by the wall I was missing. So other than that, I got the walls done, and then I didn't treat this tabletop right, this countertop right, so I wound up getting some mold, unfortunately, on this. And my friend, who is an artist, after I cleaned it and scrubbed it all out, the mold and stuff, she went ahead and painted one of her pieces onto the tabletop. So a little piece of a unique touch to it. The backsplash is from Home Depot, so I bought it on clearance, and my friend cut it up and tacked them in the back against the backsplash. I thought it's a nice touch. I just didn't want things to be just so white, and as you could tell, I'm a little eclectic and like a little pop. The exposed shelving, I'm big into that whole raw pipe and shelf look. Originally here was where the vent was going to be, so I sacrificed venting my cooking for a lovely shelf. And guess what? Windows work. You just crack that door and you crack that, and there's cross ventilation, and it works. I also have Lunos air ventilation in the house, so that helps. And then I've got an exhaust fan in the bathroom, so that helps. So if you're cooking fish, that's what I use. This fridge actually was given to me by my landlord, and the irony that he had something this size was perfect for me. So I lucked out and thanked him for the gift. This is a staircase. I actually, while we were building it, I wrote step by step, and a friend of mine wrote day by day on it, and I didn't want to paint over it, so I kind of just painted around it, and then I did a couple of little stencils on it. And actually this whole house is blessed. I had everyone that worked on the house to sign their name or wish me well or whatever. They wanted to leave their profound proverbs on the walls on the insides. So you can't see it, but it's all written behind these walls of good prayers for me. And so I decided to put hooks here because why not utilize every single space? And after researching and looking at a million tiny home ideas on video, this seemed to work fine for me. So I didn't need to get all fancy and figure out a way to hang my stuff, all of it, which there we go. I have lots of clothes. I have storage set up. And then I have shelves up in here. So I have my socks and my yoga clothes and more clothes and storage tucked under there. And then over here, I have more storage. So look at that closet space with my laundry and a little shelf. I do have this sliding door. The original goal was to actually put, you know, one of those films over it or, you know, stained glass type of film over it. Since I've been single for a really long time, there's no one ever in here for me to actually like give privacy to. So I thought, well, when that day happens, that'll, you know, I'll put up a film. But in the meantime, we can just take a peek. Come on back. So here is the bathroom. I lucked out with finding this at a secondhand store. And as a girl, I just need to have a big soaking tub. I usually just lay out and sprawl out like a mermaid and splash and soak away my blues. And this was definitely a splurge. I needed to make sure that my self-care was priority in living here, and I was not going to tolerate any stand-up showers, and especially those little box showers. Like, no thank you. So I fully own the girl in me and splurged in getting a nice soaking tub for moi. So I had leftover backsplash and decided to just trick out the ceiling, which that's what it's really made for, is to have a tin ceiling. That was a bitch to do because you're just constantly up there and you're trying to find your beans to do it. So I had to call in some help a little bit, but I feel like I did most of it. So. And then behind you is the washer dryer unit where I was going to install a unit, but I live on property that has a washer and dryer, so I'm like saving some money and not doing that right now. And at the other location, I'm going to be doing my own washroom as well. So I'm never gonna really utilize this unless I need to. For a toilet, I've decided to just use this compost outside bucket type of setting that I actually got off of Wayfair. And it's a bucket that you just urinate in and I dump into the forest, and that's all. I have a working outhouse on the property, so I go and use their running toilet for that purpose. La 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 la. Right this way. Here we are in my bedroom, and it's super great for a 5'3" person because I can pretty much stand right up to here and still stand and then just walk on over onto my bed and conk right out. This is my sleeping quarters. I'm not a big fan of the shed line roofs, and I felt that it was too claustrophobic for me to have a tiny home with one slanted roof and to be only forced to sleep one way. This was like pretty much the widest peak I can do. I think it was like a 2-4 peak, and I could sleep either way, this way or that way. I've even taken the bed and faced it this way so I can sleep this way and read my books and chill out, meditate, but mostly sleep because I love sleep. I did get some skylights, and it's a little bright during the summertime, so I usually take this guy and kind of close out the light and then close it all out. And now I feel like I'm in a little nest up here, especially amongst all the trees. And yeah, my storage for my sheets and my knickknacks and books and things like that. So pretty good. Sometimes in the morning it's just too early. I slide down the steps like an old lady. We didn't get a chance to focus on my cute little Yodel wood-burning stove that I got off Craigslist. It works like a charm, and boy, oh boy, does it heat this place up to the point where I even have to open the windows. And next, I'll show you the living room. So over here is my living room slash second bedroom. It's actually one of those fold-out couches. I threw like one of those 4-inch foams on top of it, and it's very cush, so you could just lounge out and just chill, read a book. And since I don't have an actual couch for, you know, back support, I just threw in a bunch of pillows so I could just chill out and read or work on my laptop, get to look out the window and watch all those little chipmunks. Look at them all with their big jowls. They're just stuffing them in. When I have dinner guests over, I get to pop up this lovely IKEA table. I tell you, IKEA does come up with some really genius ideas. And it also opens up on the other side as well, so I can actually pull this out and make it long down here. I have 2 extra chairs in storage. But then I can pop this out and sit right down with my guests as we dine and get to view this beautiful view while the chipmunks are eating and while we're stuffing our face too. I am also a yoga teacher on the side, and I learned about swing yoga ages ago, and a friend of mine gifted me this. And so I get to have some time to swing like a monkey and hang on the yoga swing. And it's attached to these beams up here, these exposed beams, which I'm a huge fan. I grew up in New York with houses that had exposed beams, and I just loved that idea. I brought these in, and my GC was like, hey, I can use those actually, because that will help support the house and keep it nice and locked and tight. So when you're driving down the road, it'll keep the house from giving any extra shakes. So here's one of my heaters that I use. It's really wonderful, and it's so tiny and light and thin and compact that you just roll it away when you're not using it, and it works like a charm. And it gets to sit right under this amazing staircase. The manufacturer is from Australia. They're named B Compact. I did have to sell an ovary for it, just kidding. But it was about 3,000 American dollars. I liked the space-saving idea and not to have like a ladder or a ladder hanging or even a set staircase, because I felt it was just too claustrophobic if I had another staircase here. Finding this online was an amazing find. And it's bamboo, it's all made from bamboo, that's it. And they basically put it together. I gave them the measurements. They hooked it up, and I love it. It's just fun. I feel like it's like a toy or something, you know? And it is easy to climb. So let's try it out. That's why we have this. I love this. It works and it's genius. So welcome to my meditation loft. I have a lot of crafts. I do a lot of home crafts with wood and feathers and stuff, and make little trinkets like this, such as an owl. I like to collect little pieces of nature and make stuff out of it. So they're kind of strewn all around. This is a really special place for me where I get to be quiet and sit in solace from the hustle bustle of the everyday world. And I usually face this way so I can look out the window or talk to Buddha or talk to Jesus or talk to the goddess. Look at that, so many people to worship. You might as well just worship yourself. Thank you, gods, goddesses, light and love. Please bless this day with peace, love, and happiness. Cleanse the air, cleanse the light, cleanse the love, and be so bright. So I just recently purchased 5 acres of land. It's nestled in a lot of woods and I have access to 2 streams. So lucky. It already has a septic, it has well water on there, and it has power. And all I have to do is tow this baby up onto the property and call it home. Living in a tiny house for the 3 years so far has been amazing for me. Definitely has taught me a lot about clutter and keeping the clutter down. It's taught me to be a minimalist, and it's taught me to be just here in my nest, and I don't need much. And I'm okay with that, you know. Everyone else, no problem. Do your thing. But for me, this is it. I'm okay. I've lived in Manhattan in smaller environments and apartments than this, so I'm okay.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you soon with another unique home tour.